You see this all the time where the Democrats push and push and push, and they get what they want. They deem that homosexuality is constitutional. Their Supreme Court gives them whatever they want. Like the Supreme Court, even Trump. I blame Trump. He picked these judges who are basically moderates. I blame him for that totally. But I think that Trump is almost a creation of these institutions. He said it. He's benefited from the kind of tax problems, from the kind of things, that the institutions allow. And he came in to drain the swamp, to overturn those things. So I think that basically what we've seen with Donald Trump is Donald Trump was a populist leader. We're so used to these managers, but the problem is the system that is being managed. It's not simply a mismanagement thing. It's a systematic propulsion of the system itself, to where, yes, you can have the system screw up things so bad, it creates this tension, it creates this vacuum that a figure like Donald Trump ultimately fulfills. But what happens? He gets in and they subvert him at all costs, all these creatures of the institutions. So we've referred to this on my show many times as the 100-year plan, where we need to start thinking about not winning today, not winning 4 years from now, not winning this next election or the election after that or the election after that, but rather the elections 100 years from now. Because I think inherent in some of these Democrat policies and some of these foreign policies is almost their own destruction. But we can't really rely on that. Do you kind of get what I'm saying here?
I do. And I think the three branches of government is both our strength and our weakness. It's the opposite side of the same coin. The fact that we have these checks and balances serve us very well. But I think it prevents us from making quick turns. It prevents us from moving as quickly as probably you and I would like to. And that's just inherent in the system. I think you can't celebrate the Constitution and you can't celebrate, a republic type form of government and then complain that the checks and balances of the Supreme Court don't go fast enough or don't go exactly the way you want it. I think a 100-year journey begins with one step. And a lot of what we're seeing are the first steps of this transformation of America. And it is kind of messy. This is a good example of you win two, you lose one. And so the progress is going to be made, but we probably won't fulfill the vision that you're talking about for America all at once. It's going to be a gradual building process, and there are going to be fights along the way, And as Ken was mentioning, he does think that the Supreme Court, the conservative, moderate Supreme Court, of which Donald Trump appointed a number of members, eventually they will give him the quasi line item veto on expenses that he doesn't approve of. The executive office will eventually get to veto congressional appointments or congressional appropriations, but it's probably going to be that landmark decision in a year or so that is a result of a big old fight to get there.
Yeah, because like I've said before, I think the Trump didn't capture the institution; the institutions captured Trump. He's one man. And that's kind of the problem we're really getting at here. And this is a big thing. So we talk about we'll think about the presidency. And then people say, well, it's so much bigger than the presidency. We have to get the Senate and we have to get Congress, which is true. But that's about as far as a lot of people are willing to go. I think that we need to get obviously they'll even say this, we need to get the education So not just the colleges, not just the Ivy League schools, but even at the local level, we need to recapture those, and we need to recapture. I think one of the most important of all is Hollywood. I think Hollywood has been an absolute influence in the degradation of the moral fabric of society. And it's up to us to basically, over the next century, infiltrate back into these institutions and redirect them into the direction, because society, at the end of the day, the masses, society, they're ultimately directed. The society is directed by its leaders, not the other way around. As much as we'd like to say that, in a democratic society, we say, oh, well, it's the people's republic. It's this, it's that. It's the people decide. Not really. When they never get what they want from their elected leaders who ran on the things they wanted, when the moral fabric of society is being steered away from Christ and towards homosexuality and all these anti-Christ things through Hollywood, through television and this kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
Well, it does, and and that's kind of one of the main differences between leaders and managers. Okay, managers motivate people, but they motivate people with kind of the carrot and the stick. Oh, if you'll do this, I'll give you this incentive. If you don't do this, you're going to get fired. And when you are being motivated by managers, it's all quid pro quo. I'll do this if I get that. The difference is that as soon as you stop with the reward or the punishment, then what happens is the behavior just reverts back. Leaders, on the other hand, inspire people to do things of their own free will. And if you're inspired, you're not doing it out of fear or incentive, you're doing it out of desire. And I think if, in fact, Donald Trump is going to prove to be the leader that we hope he is, based on some historical references, well, then that inspiration is going to happen slowly but surely. Each generation is going to say, you know what, I'm going to make a movie about that, or I'm going to start a company about that, or I'm going to be more patriotic about this. And so that is a very slow process, but that cannot be taken away from them, okay? If you stop with the incentive bonuses, I stop selling. If I want to sell because I believe that this is the answer to someone's problem, then I'm doing it out of love and passion as opposed to guilt or fear. And I think that's why we may view Donald Trump in the same leadership category as some of the other historical figures. But the point is, we're not going to know that right away. We'll know a little bit in 4 years. If people get on board during the midterms, we'll know a little bit more. If a MAGA president replaces Trump in 28, we'll know a little bit more. So if we see the majorities in the House and in the Senate become super majorities before 2030, then we'll kind of see it. But it's not a magic wand kind of thing. It's really one soul at a time.